Hello. Okay, I'm gonna double check that this is working everywhere because this is the first time I'm using a streaming thing so that I can be live on both Facebook and Instagram. Okay, it is working on Facebook. Perfect. Let's go over and check. Let's go check YouTube. Perfect. Okay. It is working. We are live. So come on, if you are here, and say hello. Leave a comment also so that I know that the comments are working. Like I said, I'm using a brand new streaming thing that we've integrated on both YouTube and Facebook. So say hello. And today we're going to be doing a live Q&A slash field readings. So I can tap into you, your energy, all the things that are going on, and really give you an answer on a multi-dimensional lens so that you can get some support. So that being said, come on, say hello, and we can go ahead and get started. Whoever is watching and wants to go first. Hello to the new people coming on. What we are doing today is a live Q&A and field readings. So I can see a bunch of you on. If you want to start, whoever wants to start with the first question, and I will go ahead and answer them. Hello, hello. If you're just joining, if you don't leave a question, then there's nothing to answer. Okay, last chance to ask any questions. Last chance going once. Last chance going twice. Okay, first question from Lailana. How to clear your auric field? So your auric field, there's not holes in it. It feels like there is, I don't want to say garbage. It's cluttered. So a lot of the time when we think about clearing our fields, when we think about clearing our energy, we assume that's because bad things are in there. We assume that's because there is something wrong, that there's bad energies, any kind of negativity. And that's actually simply like not true. Right. And so our auric fields can become cluttered with things that are even positive, but it's still cluttered. So your field is not so much, oh, there's negative, bad things I need to clear out. It's just cluttered with too much stuff. Think about it like when your house or your desk or your space is cluttered. When that happens, you're not able to have the clarity, right? And even if you think about when your home is cluttered, how you then feel scattered, how you then can't think as clearly as you would be able to when it's clear. So it sounds like you haven't cleared out. You've been focusing on clearing out like quote unquote negative things, right? But not necessarily focused on clearing out the quote unquote positive things that are still just residual leftover energy in your energy field. So in order to dissolve that, you actually need to have like more maintenance. When we think about people who, Oh my God, yes, overwhelmed. When we think about people who like do a daily cleanup, and I don't know if you've ever heard this before, but like tidy your room or tidy your desk at the end of the day. For you, it sounds like a more of a maintenance of a decluttering versus clearing out negativity. And so that even looks like the energy you pick up from clients, the energy you pick up from people, the energy you pick up from social media, even though they're positive experiences, you still always want to disconnect and kind of like clear your field and really make sure that you are not only starting your day with a clear field, but also when your day quote unquote ends and you're kind of going into your evening, into your wind down, really like sitting. It doesn't have to take long. It can take less than 5 minutes and just think about like power washing your field. Like doing if you think of French press like machine where you plunge the coffee, just like plunging your whole field and just disconnecting from all of it, from the good, from the bad, from all the things, just so that you're brought back to clarity. Otherwise, you become like a hoarder. And when we think about hoarders, it's so funny. I was watching a house yesterday, no, day before yesterday, and one of the episodes was someone was a hoarder. And so when it comes to hoarding, you can hoard good things, but also bad things. And so when your energy field gets like full of hoarding, then you're not going to have that clarity. So for you, you actually need to have more into a routine of cleansing the field, making sure you're clean when you go into the day, and then also at the end of the day, just to kind of like clear things out. But it's like less than 5 minutes, just bring it through. You know how to do that so that your whole field is clear. And in terms of the overwhelm, watch how much clutter you bring in to your field, right? Watch how much noise you pick up. Watch how much that you create the clutter. And I'm seeing this for a reason because I see you creating more clutter in your field. It's like you pick up things and you get distracted. It's like, ooh, shiny object. And then you add more things like to the like the desk or the field, right? And all these things, they can be positive, but they're still consuming. And then it's like, oh, you can't think straight. So even be watch and like mindful of your level of consumption of things. Again, consuming anything outside of you, whether that's social media, television, books, like podcasts, things that are quote unquote good, but just always making sure to be very like conscious where you're at and making sure not to add too much to the plate before you can actually process and clear it out. The final analogy that's coming through for you, it's like you're adding more food onto your plate when you haven't finished what you've eaten yet. And then like you're trying to get all that food in and there's so much on your plate and you're slapping more in and you haven't finished it yet. And it's like, oh, okay, gotta eat all this food, gotta go. And that's gonna really be supportive for you. Okay, next up is Sarah. Hello, Sarah. So you feel nervous to discover yourself. You're embarking, there's a lot of newness. There's a lot of discovery happening for you. And a lot of the times discovery can make us feel scared, can make you feel fearful because discovery is uncertain, right? And so with all this uncertainty kind of up in the air, you're losing the pleasure in discovering it, right? You're losing the excitement and the joy and the fun that discovery gets to be. Think about it like a little kid who's discovering the world for the first time, right? And we sometimes we lose some of that magic, which is sad. But think about it like a kid that's discovering the world, right? They have so much fun and so much magic in their discovery. If you've ever watched kids discover the world, it is so fun. I watched my niece like discover the world. She's like 1.5 now, and like just watching her discover herself in the world is so fun. But think about it like you, instead of doing it with like the fear, or like you're doing it with wonderment. Do it with curiosity. Do it with like how exciting it gets to be. How much fun can I make this new discovery like period that I'm in, transition that I'm in, instead of kind of like, oh, and I getting the visual of when I first brought Akasha to the beach and she hadn't been in the water before and she was kind of like on the shore, like it was like an actual beach with sand. And she's on the shore and she's like, oh, I don't know how I feel about this water. I don't know. And the wave would come. And it wasn't like a big wave. It was like a little ripple because it's a lake. And the little ripple would come. And she's like, oh my God. And she'd scurry away. Don't be like Akasha. Be like the 1 year old like niece who's kind of like, you're just going to go in and you're going to discover the water. That is going to dissolve a lot of that, I want to say, tension in your system and also make this process a lot more fun for you. Because when you're having more fun, that's actually when you're going to be discovering even better things, even new things. And when you're in that energy, that's when things align. That's when things come out of nowhere. So I really want you to see how you can practice being in that spot more regularly, more often, so that you can really bring that new discovery energy in a way that this also gets to be the funnest time of your life. Lailana says, you are spot on as always. That resonates so much. Thank you. You are so welcome. Okay, we've done a couple people. Does anyone else want to come on, want to ask a question? Sarah asks if there's a particular area in my life you're referring to. It's self-discovery. It's like the area is you, because you affect all areas. When you discover yourself, everything else kind of ripples. Work, money, love, relationship, all the things kind of ripple. So it's a self-discovery, right? You are discovering yourself in relation to the world, right? You let go of so many limitations, so many conditioning, so much beliefs of how you think they should be, and like you're really able to now like embark on this. It's like you've done all this work. Okay, let go, let go, let go. I can see all the letting go that you've done. And it's now like, all right, I've let it all go. It's like, all right, now what? And you're kind of, you want to fill the space, but you don't really know quite with what. And that's where like the tension is coming from that gap between when you let things go and when the quote unquote new things come in. But instead of stressing about the new things, the pleasure of discovering yourself in that new thing. Like you are becoming a completely different person, like more you, but like you're shedding a lot of those old layers that you've like now let go, and you're now in that discovery process. Hopefully that clarifies. Okay, does anyone else desire to come up? Sarah says, haha, that's so true. Stressing about new things. Thank you. You are so welcome. The field doesn't lie. The field doesn't lie. Would anyone else like to come up? Otherwise, we will end this here for now. How are you? Liv, is it that way? I got sick recently. Yes. Your body's actually trying to purge out the clutter that you did not like declutter, right? The physical body is the final manifestation, if you will, right? So when like you're energetically cluttered, emotionally cluttered, I mean, I could talk about energy making you quote unquote sick, and then it depends what symptom you have that will tell you what you're cluttered with. But the physical body is the last point of density, right? And so when things are lingering in your energy and emotionally, if that doesn't get cleared out and becomes denser and denser and denser, and then it manifests physically into physical symptoms to kind of clear it out so that you can declutter. And if you were in my world, if you're an OG, you know all about how energy and emotions and clutter turn into physical symptoms. But yes. So rather than always having to backtrack, let's think about, all right, why were you so cluttered? Why are you so cluttered? And putting the things in place so that you can live less energetically cluttered. You are so welcome. Anyone else want to come up? Oh, Paula. Hi, Paula. No, nice to see you. Okay. Hi, Liv. How can I strengthen my energetic, or I'm guessing of energetics, to block myself from negative energies around? It's interesting you say that. I don't know if you know that I saw a black cat this morning, and black cats are all about protection. I was like, oh, I'm protected. So, negative energies penetrate your auric field when your field isn't strong, when your field is worn down, when there's an element of truth, and when you're giving away your power. So I see about 5 different holes. I'm gonna call them like holes. Think about it like gaps or like in your org. Think about like an ozone layer. If you learn about it in school, and there's like holes. That's like the 5 holes that I see. One is mom. There's something around your mom that's making you feel a certain way. It's not her directly. It's not her saying something to you. It's none of that, but it's around an energy that has not been resolved with your mom that is quote unquote negative, even though there's no such thing as like negative, that is causing some negative energy in your field. It feels just unresolved stuff with her. And it feels like you feel like you don't have the opportunity to resolve it. It feels like a missed opportunity, a missed chance. Two, there's a brother involved. So I see your comment. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to speak first and then address that. Or someone like a close male in your life that's not like a romantic partner. That person, it feels like there's like limitations around what's possible for you. Limitations around just making you small. Like you just feel smaller around this person. 3, there needs to be a little bit more of a amplifying of your personal power. So think about it like a dimmer switch, right? When there's a light that's like a dimmer, you can go all the way on, you can go all the way off. Yours is not all the way off. It's just dimmed. It's kind of like midway. It feels like 50, 55%. When you drive that all the way up, right? Think about it when you shine light all the way up. Light can outshine any darkness, right? So a lot of people think, oh, how do I block myself? But blocking yourself from negative energy implies a hiding. It implies how can I hide myself so these negative energies don't come into me? How can I hide myself so that they don't penetrate my field? How can I hide myself, right? It's very much like putting an invisibility over you versus my power is so strong and my light is so strong that it blasts any negative energy that could be directed towards me, right? Light illuminates any darkness. Do you notice that? Do you notice how light illuminates any darkness? Light doesn't hide from the dark, doesn't think, oh, I better hide away. No, when it's strong, it just illuminates any of that. So when you bring up your power, stop giving it away to things, you bring that dimmer switch all the way up, and then you don't have to block yourself. You just exist with that light. And your light might shine, might make people, wince or have opinions or project onto you, but that's perfect. You just keep doing you. That's 3. 4, I don't know if there's like a Jessica in your life, but there's like someone, Jessica, something like that's coming through. That's another leak in your energy. The 5th one, there's a lack of nourishment of yourself. There's an overall balancing of the amount of nourishing you're doing to yourself with the amount of output that you're giving. And so it feels like you're in these highs and lows of fluctuations, right? So you're good, but then back down. You're like, oh shit, got to bring that back up, got to manage, got to nourish myself. And then you're back up and then you're good for a bit and then you go back down versus nourishing yourself consistently so that this is more stable. So we're not having these dramatic ups and downs because your output has not been proportional to your input and not necessarily waiting for output to be depleted, right? Not necessarily waiting for yourself to get into a depleted place, but from nourishing first and then giving from excess, giving from overflow, giving from more than, not, oh, now I'm empty, time to fill myself up, which I think is like a pattern a lot of people, a lot of women especially get into. And I can see this in your energy going up and down like this. We want to create consistency. And also from that consistent place of nourishing, you will then have the energetic capacity to shine that power at 100% and really drive that like dimmer switch that's been dimmed all the way up. And of course, when you do this, you'll feel stronger. Other people's things won't get in the way. Now, let me just like look at what you said. I've been working on my own business to launch in November, and I am normally pretty good at blocking people's comments and not letting it affect me, but sometimes it just gets too much. So I don't mean like, if you mean like people on the internet, people on the internet will always have an opinion. And this is something that like I talk about when it comes to like a regulated nervous system. You have to just know that it's going to happen. You can like block them and like delete the comments, but in terms of like your reaction, that's part of what we open ourselves up to, right? That doesn't mean like it has to be that way or everything will be that way, but watch where you outsource your power, right? Versus letting it wash over you and just being like, oh yeah, okay, like that's their opinion. They're entitled to that. And you keep doing you, but that doesn't dim your power or dim what you're doing. Paula, let me know if that answers everything for you. Oh, I just mean my husband's. Let me know if it made sense what I said. Because your power being dimmed, if you can't be solid in your power now, it's not going to quote unquote get better when you have a quote unquote result, because then it'll just be something else. So often we can get trapped in thinking, well, I'll have the power when I have the result. And when I have the result, then I'll show them. And I'm getting reminded about my ex. And so I think this is like, it's coming through because I can see myself sitting in the car with him exactly. Like I know where we were on Spadina Road on the bridge at Spadina in front in Toronto, going south, about to get in the highway. This is perfect. And so there's a reason this is coming through for you. And I was told previously that what I would do wouldn't work. Right. And they're like, it sounds like, comments, blah, 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 a little bit lack. And then when I did start getting results, there was still an issue. There were still negative comments. There were still like, but you can't sustain that and you're going to do this. And I worked out it's because he was triggered by, my success, blah, blah, blah. But the point being is that if you don't learn the personal power now, it won't necessarily get better. And so sometimes you can think, well, then I'll show him once I launch the business, once it goes like this, that'll show him. Then he won't make these comments. And that's not necessarily true. And so I don't want you to create that entanglement, which then you're creating from that'll show him energy, which is not a clean frequency. And B, hoping that then, okay, once it becomes this, then the comments won't come anymore. So I'm going to let that land. That came through specifically for a reason. And you said, that's brilliant. Thank you. You are so welcome, Paula. And your launch is going to be fantastic because I can feel it's coming from heart. I can feel it's like this itch that you have of what you know you're meant to do. Right? It's like this itch of this feels right. And I'm not sure if oh no, I haven't posted it yet. I wrote a post. I think I'm posting it tomorrow, Saturday. But I talked about it in the broadcast channel on Instagram. When you're doing big things, it is common for those who are still operating within limitations, those who cannot see something as big for themselves will project onto you. It's nothing to do with you. It's simply because they cannot conceptualize that for themselves. And so when you're doing big things, when you're breaking the mold, going against the grain, it requires that unshakableness and that trust in yourself. I mean, this goes for everyone. There's never a coincidence between the questions that get asked on a live, even if they're like not yours. Let the codes land for you as well. And so I understand like what it's like to like have that feeling, have that belief in something. And that belief can be in anything. It doesn't matter if you knit sweaters for cats, if you're a baker, an artist, a lawyer, a real estate person, a naturopath, a chiropractor, a business coach, a money coach. It doesn't matter. An author. It applies to everything. Paula says, I love everything you do, truly do. It's helped me so much my journey of letting go finally from my 9 to 5 and starting my business. I've been to all your master classes. Oh, Paula, I know your energy. I know your name. When I see your name, I know you. Gabby said, just join. Okay, Gabby, if you have any questions, if you want a personal reading on your field, feel free to pop in. Louisa, okay. Hi, Liv. There is a friend that I've had for a couple years, but lately I've been feeling a disconnect with them. They have reached out to me a few times, but I don't feel connected to them anymore. Are you getting anything around this? So think about it like a resonance. When you don't resonate on the same frequency as someone else, it doesn't make anyone else bad or wrong. It doesn't mean that they are negative, they're not a vibe, they are low frequency, kind of like any of that. It's just a different resonance. And so I just feel like you're literally on two different resonant fields. And so we think about like, let's say you're at 400 hertz and like she's at 200 hertz. When you come together, like that connection, it counteracts each other, right? There's interference. It doesn't feel seamless. It doesn't feel like a yes, okay, like I want to connect with this person. This feels like a vibe. This feels good. This feels like you're just when there's an overlap, you get the single signals I'm meaning, hopefully. It cancels each other out and there's like it just feels flat. It feels blah. It feels like you're making that something bigger than it needs to be. And you're like, oh, all right, I'm just not feeling like drawn or connected to this person. No big deal. Doesn't mean anything bad about them, bad about me. There's nothing wrong. It's just what's going on. It doesn't even have to mean that it's forever. Because I think sometimes when we think, oh, we make mountains into molehills because something's not resonant, it could not be resonant for a period of time, depending on how they shift into or evolve. But it just feels like you're interested in different things. It just feels like the resonance of where you were going, you were both kind of like steady going together. And then this started to happen, and you're just feeling that gap. That doesn't mean that this can't happen again. It just means that you, at least for now, go like this, knowing that it's perfect if it goes like this, but it's perfect if it goes like this, and not to be attached to it. Lisa, let me know if that helps. Andrea, you're really angry at your dad. I saw that in the back of my head. I was reading Lisa, and I just, as the field was coming through, I was like, oh, fuck, she's angry at her dad. There's some anger in there around him. It feels like there's a perspective of you're like the little girl, but at the same time, responsibility is that you don't want to take it on. So like this dichotomy of I'm not that person. Like he's trying to make you be a version of you or an aspect of you that you don't want to be. And I feel like an angry little girl right now in you that's just like kind of wants to fight back. Not like fight like physically, but just like there's an anger wrapped up in that. And for it to be like so clear, it just like whooshed like this. I would look into that. And it feels like something that's been consistently activated over time. So it's not like you were on the phone and you had a big fight or this big thing happened. It's like this, "Meow, meow, 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 meow," and now it's going, "Meow, meow, 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 meow." So, and I'm going to be really honest. He's such a kind, sweet, like genuine, so I can feel his energy. But he's having discomfort and difficulty because he doesn't know how to be around you, be with like he doesn't know how to be what you need him to be. And so that discomfort, he doesn't know, and he's not like fully like not like awake in terms of like personal development. It feels like he's not putting that fully together where he's approaching it, where he's asking you like, how can we have like this more harmonious relationship? How can I be, a better father to you? How can I see you? How can I support you? He feels like he wants that on the inside. He just doesn't know how to bring that forth. He doesn't know how to translate that. And so you're wanting that. He doesn't know what to do. So he feels the discomfort. And if you don't know what to do with the discomfort, your default will be to resolve it the only way you know how. This is where you'll get projections. You get maybe like all the stuff that you're experiencing from him is him trying to resolve that tension because he actually doesn't know how to resolve it any other way. So let me know if that lands. Okay. Louisa. Yes, there is a gap. At first, it seemed aligned, but then it became clear that things are no longer aligned. But what do I say to them? Do I say I need a break? I don't want to be rude, but I also don't want to hang out just to appease them. So why would you hang out to appease them? Why do you assume that being why do you assume it's rude if you don't want to hang out with someone or if you need like a break? It's not rude. It seems like a little bit of like conditioning and limitations. If they're asking you to hang out, if they're asking, like, there's a difference if like they're, hey, do you want to hang out Saturday? Like, you can say, something versus if they're just striking up a random conversation that you don't necessarily have to respond to. So something different. A, you don't have to respond. Silence is a response. B, you can just say, hey, blah, blah, blah. I haven't been feeling like we've been on the same page lately. This has nothing to do with you or like me. If there's nothing wrong or bad, there's nothing you did. And I don't know if this is true. Like, assume it doesn't feel like she didn't do anything bad to you. But I'm just need some space from this relationship or some space from this dynamic. And that's it. Okay, Andrea. It feels like he doesn't want to put in any effort and he just sets expectations. Yes, because he doesn't know how to. So the effort you want, like he doesn't know. And I know you're like, how can he not know how? This energy reminds me of my mother. They actually don't know how to be like that. And you're like, what? Like, isn't it kind of like, duh? It's not. But of course, he needs to be open to that. So that's kind of like the dichotomy you're in. So you need to release any invisible expectations and then become fine with not fulfilling his or the expectations he has of you based on his projections of what he thinks you should do and should be. Because that level of power will actually allow him to shift. This reminds me of my mom when she told me I needed to become like a family medicine doctor, like, traditional doctor back when I went on my naturopath. And then when I left my fiance, she told me I had to do this. And like, there were so many things. And the way she's shifted and how she's been able, definitely not perfect. And it'll never be like that mom best friend type relationship, but it has improved because I no longer got angry on how I believed she needed to be. I no longer had expectations of who she was and like how she should be and how she should be loving and supportive, not make things about her. I dissolved all that anger. And then I just stopped like people pleasing and going into her expectations, no matter how big or small those expectations were. Yeah. What I said, Andre. Okay. Would anyone else like to come up? Ask a question, get a feel. Sure, Louise, we can do another question. I have a few more minutes. Thank you, Liv. I have another question, if that's okay. Recently, there is a man who has shown romantic interest in me. I don't know him very well at all. Is there anything energetically that you're feeling? Okay. I'm going to say proceed with caution. That is like the sign, like literally the sign that says proceed with caution, like the road sign. That's what I got. Keep in mind because there's not a big interaction, there's not a lot in your field about him. Proceed with caution. I got a very feeling in my book. Proceed with caution. Doesn't mean you can't proceed. It's just proceed with caution. Sarah, I feel like my friend's family distanced themselves from me. Is there something in my energy? You're trying to blend in a place that you're not meant to be. You are trying to relate. I know I'm gonna separate friends and family because family is, like you, yeah, yes, you choose them in this lifetime, but not everyone deeply resonates with their family or has these super close relations. That's not bad or good. That doesn't mean you can't improve, but it feels like you're trying, you morph. I can see you morphing into different versions depending on who you believe you need to be in different situations and different people. And it's because you're morphing that energy is like not actually authentic to you. And when you're authentic is when you're magnetic. So stop morphing. Okay, does anyone else who hasn't asked a question yet want to ask a question? And if not, we will end for today. Luisa saw a stop sign twice. Everything's a sign. I saw a black cat this morning. Everything is a sign. I also tend to see, I ask for like either blue jays or red cardinals when I want a sign. Okay, if there are no more questions, this was fun. I'll do more of these little ones in the future. I'll try to plan them a little bit more in advance than just like a day in advance, but it was fun. And I love when you do this so creepy good. It's fun for me too. It's fun. Okay. I know there's a bunch of you that I will see inside Glow. And if you want like a private one-on-one intimate reading, you can always book a vortex session, like a mini session. I have 30-minute sessions and I have 60-minute sessions. So you can do anything, either of those if you feel called and you want like a private reading. Otherwise, I will see you guys very soon and stay tuned for some more fun things that are coming out. All right. Bye.